and another effective one. Matthew breaks a tackle, breaks another, gets a block. There are no flags and the race is on. And Matthew goes 90.
Burrow with the snap. Here comes the blitz. Burrow steps away from it, throws, catch made! Justin Jefferson has it at the 38, racing down the far line, sideline, 10-5, touchdown Tigers!
Another play fake by Burrow, and a deep strike, and an open receiver, Jamar Chase, another touchdown!
Daniels pulls it, takes it himself, he's got the sideline! Jane Daniels off to the races, and a bang back inside, he takes it to the house, 85 yards for Daniel.
Go ahead and say it, Ed.
Go Tigers!
What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into another edition of the Geauxld Standard Podcast. I am your host, Doe, and this is your place for LSU news, updates, and unsolicited comments. Man, I hope y'all are having an awesome week. I was planning on when to put this episode out. I didn't know what was the right time. LSU's been kind of waiting, or we've been kind of waiting as fans on some portal news at quarterback to drop, and I've been wanting to kind of drop it at that perfect time when that news drops. But it's unpredictable. That's the portal. It's unpredictable. So we're going to go ahead and get this episode out to you guys. Again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you hit that notification button. Smash that like button as well for your boy, because we love purple, but it's all gold, baby, here at the Geauxld Standard Podcast. Now, I talked about earlier in the week, ladies and gentlemen, it was Monday the last time we talked, and since then, LSU's been on a roll of commitments out of the transfer portal, and I knew this would happen. I warned you guys if you were nervous the other day, if you were waiting, if you were contemplating, if you were doubting Lane Kiffin as the portal king, you know, here's the proof in the pudding. I told you guys this was going to go a certain way. So as soon as we got out the gate and we didn't have 15 portal commits and top 5 of the top 10 guys, not to panic, because this thing moves at a slow pace sometimes. The portal is open for 2 weeks, guys. The portal opened on January 2nd, and the portal will close on January the 16th. All that needs to happen for players is to have their names in the portal. They don't have to commit to a school by January the 16th. They can take it all the way up to whenever classes start back, but they can take it all the way up till then, you know, before they enroll in the school or they pick a destination. So the portal is not just get in and you commit. Sure, it works. It works that way with some instances, and some guys have jumped in and immediately went to another team. But for the most part, especially when you're talking about higher echelon, big-time guys, it's going to take a while, because guess what? These guys are going to take visits. These guys are going to compare numbers. They're going to compare contracts. They're going to compare NIL deals, and they're going to run these numbers up against these agents and these schools and these GMs and head coaches, and there's going to be a lot of back and forth negotiation before a deal is agreed to. So it's going to take time, and it's not a bad thing that it takes time. It's not necessarily a freak out thing because it's taking longer than expected. You have to set your expectations for, one, that Lane Kiffin is the portal king. Number 2, we're going to have a top 3 portal class, not only because we want to, because LSU has to, because they're filling so many spots. We talked about it on the last podcast. We were up there, 25 players in the portal from LSU. We went through each and every one of them, so make sure you go back and listen to that podcast if you want that information. But LSU has to have a lot of bodies come in just because they needed to fill a lot of bodies. And that doesn't mean every guy's just a body. There's going to be some impact players because, one, LSU needs impact players on this team. They need impact players at important positions: quarterback, offensive line, wide receiver, edge, D tackle, safety, maybe a corner. LSU does need some impact players to help fill out this roster. So they are going to get some impact players out of the portal. They're going to be players in the portal. They're going to be associated with a lot of high-end, top echelon guys in the portal, because I expect Lane Kiffin to be on a mission. I expect him to prove a point. I expect him to prove why he came to LSU versus Ole Miss and show this is what I'm capable of at LSU versus a school like Ole Miss. So everybody just keep dogging, keep piling on, keep talking stuff. If Lane is anything like I think he is, I promise it's just more motivation for him to go and do whatever you don't want him to do. So keep it up. Look, LSU is going to be the villain, guys. We have to embrace the villain role. We have to embrace the dark side and truly become Darth Vader. Anakin Skywalker is gone. He's out the door. It's time to get rid of the younglings, and we're going to go to the dark side and become Darth Vader. All right, so on this episode, we're going to talk about the commits that LSU has out of the portals. We're going to talk about guys that are visiting and guys that LSU is connected to. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about the Damond Williams saga. And we're going to talk a little bit about Sam Levitt as well. So, again, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you jump in the comments. Make sure you hit that notification button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. We got a lot of information coming out about LSU in this transfer portal. There's going to be a lot of information disseminating quickly. It's going to move quickly. And this is going to be behind probably by the time I post it. So, guys, make sure that you got them notifications on. Make sure you make sure you subscribe. There's a lot of you that subscribe that aren't subscribed, that watch these videos, that give me likes or whatever it may be. Look, there's no obligation to subscribe and hit that button. It just helps me out, gives me the opportunity to make the podcast that much better for you guys, provide more content, different type of content, change the scenery, whatever it may be. It's fully encompassing with you guys. So I want you guys to jump in the comments. I want you guys to jump in the comments, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. But let's get to it. So LSU currently sits at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 portal commits as of right now as I do this podcast. And we're going to talk about all of them. So the first portal commit was Jackson Harris, who's a wide receiver, rated as a 90 or a 3-star. And this is on threes rankings. He's the number 141 overall player and the number 30 wide receiver. Big body, explosive yak guy. Really good at using his hands, really good at jump balls, really impressive in man-to-man coverage. Jackson Harris, really good commit. And then we moved on to I don't remember the order, so I may not have all these right, but I think the next one was Racine Guillory, who was a running back out of Utah. He's rated at 86 and a 3-star, number 935 and 86 running back in the portal. This guy was a top 150 player coming out of his high school class. He reclassified. He was out of Aledo, Texas. It's a powerhouse school over there. He's a really good running back. This is going to be a depth piece. I don't know if he's expected to take on a lot of carries, but guys, where the running back room sits, you only have one returning scholarship running back right now in Harlem Berry. So aside from Harlem Berry, I do think they're going to add some bodies for depth and development. And I think they get one other kind of big name guy to help back up. All right. So after that, we got Malachi Thomas, who's the tight end out of Pitt. He was rated as an 87.5 3-star, the number 408 overall, and the number 24 tight end. And after that, the next one was Trey Brown. It's another big body wide receiver out of Old Dominion, who you beat out Ohio State for. He's rated as a 90.87 3-star, the number 102 overall player, and the number 23 wide receiver. And I'm not going to get the order right after that because I don't remember, but let's just go down. I know yesterday you got a slew of receivers, starting with. Let's just talk about who you got. You got Jace Brown out of Kansas State, who was one of the top wide receivers in the Big Ten last year. Very explosive playmaker. He was rated as a 92 4-star, number 41 overall player, the number 10 wide receiver. You got Trey Wilson today, who was rated as a 92.47 4-star, the number 47 overall player, number 11 wide receiver. So that's two top 11 wide receivers in Jace Brown and Trey Wilson. You got Steph Green. This was a commit few days ago. He was a developmental piece, not developmental piece, but a rotational piece, defensive lineman out of Clemson. He's rated as a 91.61. He's a 4-star, the number 81 overall player, and the number 6 defensive lineman in the portal. You also got Ty Benefield out of Boise State, who's going to play that safety star nickel type of role, I think, or he could slide back at safety, and you'll see Tamarcus Cooley come up and play that star role some. He's rated as a 9102 4-star, the number 95 overall player, and the number 9 safety. We talked about Trey Brown, talked about Jackson Harris, talked about Malachi Thomas, talked about Racing Guillory. Rod Gainey is another running back out of Charlotte, rated as an 85 3-star, number 1706 overall, the number 152 running back. Again, another depth piece. And you also got Hayden Craig, who is the punter from Florida. If you don't know, Florida's special teams coordinator came over in the coaching change. And I think you got the long snapper as well. I don't see him listed, but I feel like I saw that the long snapper from Florida came over as well. And you're also in the running for the kicker at Florida. I can't remember his name, but you're in the running. So, yeah, there you go. LSU's got impact players on the board. Jace Brown and Trey Wilson are very, very great impact players. Steph Green is a rotational defense line piece at Clemson, so I'm sure he'll be a rotational line piece at LSU. Ty Benfield was a starting safety. He had over 100 tackles last year for Boise State. Trey Brown, big body yak guy. Between Trey Brown, Jackson Harris, and Jace Brown, the yards per catch is crazy. And that's something that LSU was lacking, the explosion, the 15-yard, the 20-yard reception, the 25, 30, 50, 60, 70-yard catches. We didn't have a lot of that this year, if at all. I don't know if we had any type of plays like that. So the guys that Lane's adding in the room all have juice. And Trey Wilson's got a lot of juice. He was a former 5-star at high school. He's had some injury issues at Florida. But he's more of a slot guy, more of a get the ball in his hands and let him do it kind of deal. The other three are more we're going down the field, big play type of guys. So you got some guys that's going to be impact players that's going to have an impact on the team next season, especially those receivers. Steph Green is a rotational defensive piece. Like I said, Ty Benfield, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's a starter. And you got some depth pieces. Malachi Thomas is going to be a depth piece behind Trey Green, and Racing Guillory and Rod Gainey are going to be both depth pieces after Harlem Berry. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if LSU adds another name brand running back and maybe another guy. Having 4 is kind of dicey, so maybe LSU adds 5 guys in that room. But yeah, they only had 1 guy, so I know, and we'll talk about. Look, we'll go ahead and bite the nail on the head here. I was one of the few and one of the many LSU centric channels that were reporting that Kewan Lacey was going to come to the LSU Tigers and join his running back coach Kevin Smith and Lane Kiffin. But as of, I think, Sunday evening or Monday earlier this week, Kewan Lacey did re-up to sign with Ole Miss for next year. So he's going to be with the Rebels and back with the Rebels. And Trinidad Chambliss did the same thing. He signed. He doesn't have his waiver yet. We don't know if he's going to get it, but he signed, baby. He signed basically conditional paperwork saying that if he came back to college football next year, it would be with Ole Miss. So those two are players that aren't coming with Lane Kiffin and Kevin Smith. Deuce Alexander, I think, is another one that read up. And I want to say I saw something about Harrison Wallace, but I think I may have that wrong. But I know Deuce Alexander read up for next year as well with them. So I think Georgia winning kind of threw a monkey wrench into some of LSU's plan, but it is what it is. You got to move on. We didn't get the guys. They were never in the portal, so you can't really say they didn't get them. Those guys decided to do what was best for them. LSU's going to do what's best for them. Lane's going to do what's best for him, and we got to move on, okay? So next up, we'll talk about some guys that are visiting and associated with LSU. This is hard because I don't have a lot of confirmed dates. Some guys are coming on campus and it's not being known that they're on campus until they're gone, or nothing's being said until a commitment is announced. So it's really tough to keep track of all this, but I'm going to try to do my best to educate you on what I am aware of. So we talked about, or the big point last podcast was Sam Levitt. He was in town for a few days recently, and we'll talk about the Damon Williams things. But Sam Levitt did leave campus without committing or signing with LSU. He's off to Tennessee as of today, if I'm not mistaken, to take a visit there. I'm not sure about the Sam Levitt situation and how it's going to end or what's going to be the next steps for Sam. Sam's visited a lot of schools and not really been on commit watch or committing to a school per se. So I'm not sure what the plan is there and what the move's going to be for Sam. 1 second. But he visited Kentucky, visited LSU, visiting Tennessee now. I think Miami wants to get in the picture. Oregon's always out there. He's from Oregon, so maybe after their playoff run or whatever it may be, he wants to see what they're going to do, wants to see what Dante Moore is going to do. So there's a lot involved with Sam Leavitt. If you ask me now, I don't think he's going to be LSU's quarterback, and we'll talk about that a little later with the Damon Williams information. Chaz Coleman, who's the number 1 edge in the portal from Penn State, he visited, had a really good time. He also visited Tennessee and Ohio State. Really great that LSU was able to outlast the Ohio State visit without him signing with them, because that's the one that was going to be a hurdle. He's originally from Ohio. He's a really, really solid edge. He's got some tools. He's got multiple years remaining. So he's really, really coveted guy, and LSU's really put their hat in the game there. We have Utah defensive line and edge John Henry Daly, who had like 11.5 sacks last year, if I'm not mistaken. He's rated as a high 4-star, number 8 overall player, the number 4 edge in the portal. Chaz Coleman is rated as the number 4 overall and the number 1 edge in the portal. But yeah, John Henry Daly, I think he was on, or Daly, I don't know how to say it, but I think he was on campus, LSU's campus today, and I think he's off to Michigan. We also had Tennessee edge and former 5-star Jordan Ross, rated as a 91, 4-star, 72 overall, number 9 edge. I think he's on campus today as we speak. Another big one, you got James Smith and Quay Russaw out of Alabama. James is a 93 4-star, number 38 overall, number 4 D lineman. And Quay is a 92 4-star, number 60 overall, and the number 2 linebacker. Quay's more of an edge. James is more of an inside guy. These two guys went to the same high school, so I think they're sort of a package deal, meaning they're going to go to somewhere together. They went to Alabama together. Wouldn't be surprising to see them at their next stop together. Malik Blockton, who was on campus today, out of Auburn, rated as a 93-star, number 151 overall, number 16 defensive lineman. Shaz Preston, named from back in the day, former 5-star out of Louisiana. He's rated as a 3-star, number 240 overall, number 42 wide receiver. Scooter Jackson, a DB out of UCLA, who's supposed to visit later on this week. He's rated as an 88 3-star, number 287 overall. Eugene Hilton Jr. out of Wisconsin, who's the son of T.Y. Hilton, by the way. He's an 87 3-star, number 500 overall, number 77 receiver. Landon Clark is a quarterback out of Elon. Is an 86 overall, 3-star, number 815 overall, number 55 quarterback. Supposed to be visiting on the 9th of January, so that'll be later this weekend. We talked about Khalid Tafai out of Minnesota, who visited earlier in the week. Rated as an 86 3-star, number 1,122 overall, number 89 offensive lineman. And then I think just earlier, Tyree Holloway, a wide receiver out of West Florida, who's rated as an 84 3-star, number 1,141 overall, the number 171 wide receiver, is currently on campus at LSU. So those are the guys that have either visited or plan to visit. Let's talk about the big one, the big one. Damon Williams Jr. Now, I think if you asked most LSU fans going into this offseason and this portal season, if they could have any quarterback in the country, I think a lot of us would have said either C.J. Bailey out of North Carolina State or Damon Williams out of Washington. So Damon read up with Washington a few days ago, so it was not even a thought or in anybody's mind that he would even be an option or could be considered for an option. Well, while Sam Leavitt's on campus last night, news comes out late on campus while Sam Leavitt is sitting with Lane Kiffin in weeks at the basketball game, that Damon Williams Jr. is going to jump into the transfer portal. Now, there's a lot of scuttlebutt out there because he did sign an NIL agreement with Washington. Look, there's going to be all kind of news and rumors and everything out there. And look, this is part of being the villain. People aren't going to like what Lane is doing. They're not going to like what LSU is doing. They're just not going to like him because they don't like him. They don't like the way he left Ole Miss. So he's not going to be in anybody's favors. He's not getting Christmas gifts from anybody in the media, okay? So you're going to hear things out there. You have to be careful at what you believe. I'll give you an idea. There's a similar thing that happened last year with the player, Malcolm. Golly, don't make me get his name wrong. I can't recall it, but he went to Wisconsin last year and he transferred to Miami this year, and he did the same thing. He signed a NIL agreement with Wisconsin, and then ended up unenrolling at Wisconsin and just enrolling in Miami. Look, there's not going to be any hang up with DeMond. If he wants to come to LSU, he will be LSU's quarterback. I think they should make him the number one priority if he jumps in the portal. I think it's already been worked on, and I think that's why he jumped in. News reports are out there that LSU is looking to be the fit, looking to be the destination, and I believe it. So he really fits what Lane wants to do. He's very, very similar to Trinidad Chambliss. I think he's a little bit maybe more athletic than Trinidad, a little quicker with his feet. But if you watch Trinidad Chambliss and you turn on the tape, DeMond Williams is a sort of a more athletic, just a little more athletic version of that. They are very similar in size. Trinidad may be a little bit bigger. Very similar in size, but do yourself a favor if you never watched DeMond Williams Jr. highlight tapes from Washington, please go watch them. He's an explosive player, dynamite athlete with his feet, fits the Lane Kiffin offense perfectly. How fast this moves is another thing because, like I said, I don't think Washington, and not that I don't think, I know that Washington's not going to be able to do anything. They can't force him to go to school there. They can't force him to play football there. So whatever legal jargon they'll get through, they'll figure it out. And if DeMond Williams wants to come to LSU, I think that'll be the spot. I think that's the marriage. I think that's what Lane Kiffin is wanting. And he actually committed to Lane back in the day when he was with Ole Miss in 2024. So they're very familiar with one another. Like I said, he fits the offense like a glove. The offense fits him like a glove. It's just a perfect matchup. And he has multiple years remaining. So if LSU can get a quarterback like DeMond Williams Jr. and get him for a couple of years, then the sky is really looking up for LSU because you got a really good dynamic quarterback on your hands with like Heisman-like kind of potential and skill to lead this offense and to lead a one that's very easy for quarterbacks to be successful in. So the excitement is there for sure. How quickly this all gets resolved, I don't know. But look, like I told you guys before, you're going to be the villain, so embrace this villain role. This is what happens. Lane Kiffin is the portal king. No matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody tries to perpetuate or throw narratives out there, Lane Kiffin is the portal king. Look at his rankings at Ole Miss. Guys, he's going to do more. He's going to do better at LSU. He's got more resources. He's got more allocation. He's got more funds, better facility, better backing. All the reasons why he came to LSU are going to be reasons why he is successful at LSU, guys. You have to remember this guy and this offense and his general manager, all who are employed by LSU now, created this Ole Miss team that is one win away from the national championship game. And they built that roster from the ground up. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Whatever Ole Miss wants to perpetuate now, that's fine. Lane Kiffin, Billy Glasscock, and those offensive coaches built that team, especially on offense, built that juggernaut that it is now that you can go out and see Georgia struggle with and can't do anything with. That's all from Lane Kiffin. So imagine what he's going to do at LSU with better tools, more money, more access, more backing, more funding, more ability to go get players that he can't get at Ole Miss. It's going to be a fun time, and I'm ready for the Portal King to start reeling in more commitments. So, guys, I appreciate y'all's time. I hope that catches you up. Look, by the time this comes out, I'm sure it's going to be behind. There's going to be news that have already broke. I'm sure by the time we'll see you again, there's going to be more and more commits. But we will update you if anything happens on the DeMond Williams saga. We will go live that day. I'm not sure when it'll be, but if DeMond Williams commits, we're going to come on and talk about it because it's obviously the big thing that people in the LSU community are worried about, who's going to be your next quarterback. And Tiger fans, I think we may have found our guy. So, again, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the podcast, smash that like button. Make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss any episodes here at the Geauxld Standard Podcast, where we love purple, but it's all gold, baby. Make sure you guys have a great, happy, and safe day. Hope you have an awesome rest of the week, and make sure you tell them to play Nick.